Hey, today we are talking about my favorite top 5 places to go for online genealogy research. Now, this is 2021's version. It changes a little bit every year, so this is my top 5. We're going to get into all of that here in just a moment. But if this is your first time here, my name is Connie Knox. I am a lifelong genealogist here to help you go further, faster, and factually with your family history research. Now, you should know that there is a newsletter, a website, and a Facebook page. Links for all of that are in the show notes below. Especially if this is your first time here, please consider hitting the subscribe button if you're getting value out of this video. Now, I am really trying to get to 100,000 subscribers. Currently, I'm somewhere around 44,000 at the time of this recording. I would love to get there with your help. If you'd hit that subscribe button, I'd really appreciate it. All right, now we're going to get into those top 5 here in just a moment. I also wanted to point out that there is a handout for this episode. Boy, I think it's a good 5 pages long about all 5 of these resources. The handout is for the information access level channel members. If you want to join channel membership, hit the join button and you will find a support level in an information access level channel membership. It's the information access level that gets the handouts. Everybody gets early release though. If you want to get the handouts individually, you can do that over at genealogytv.org. The channel members, they get all the handouts as they come about every month plus early release. And so you can do that there. But if you want the individual handouts, you can get that over at genealogytv.org. All right, I hope that's helpful. We're going to jump into it right now. Okay, starting in reverse order with number 5 is WikiTree. Really? You ought to be taking a look at WikiTree. This is new on my list this year because, first of all, it's free. It's a collaborative tree. It is created by users like you and me. If you are not looking at WikiTree, you might want to go over there and take a look and see if any of your ancestors are already on the collaborative tree. Remember, there's one giant tree where everybody's contributing to it. But what makes it a little different is before you can add somebody, you have to have a source as to where you're getting that information. Now, your source could be personal knowledge, okay? But for the most part, they're looking for records. They want to go, okay, where are you getting this information? Now, one thing you should know about WikiTree is that they don't host any records, but because people are putting those links in or they're putting information about where they're finding this information, it's in the sources. Let me give you a quick little tour here. So if you click on my tree, it's going to take you to a page that looks like this. This is my portion of the tree because I've already identified my profile as, hey, this is where I am in the tree, okay? The collaborative tree. But when you click through to a specific profile, and I'm going to jump over to Christopher Madsen here, and his profile looks like this. Now, some of these images were imported during the WikiTree challenge that WikiTree had invited me as a guest on the show, and they did some research for me, so I was like very grateful. They imported some of the images and documents that I provided them. But the cool part is that all of these sources are noted as to where these things are coming from. And so I am very grateful to the Danish researcher who did this particular one. But if you'll notice here, this is a family search. This census came from family search. This census came from family search. So people are doing research out there, and there's some really cool features here on WikiTree. Hey, it's free. Why not check it out? And you can start building your tree and find how you connect to the world tree. Once you start inputting your information into the tree, all of a sudden it might say, hey, is that ancestor the same as this ancestor in the World Collaborative Tree? If so, yes, connect them. And all of a sudden you may go back several generations. So there's some really interesting and fun stuff. Now, one of the things I like a lot, that there's a little hidden trick here on the WikiTree that I've not seen anywhere else. So in the family tree, so I went back here and I'm jumped down to family tree and tools, and that takes me to this tab here. And when I scroll all the way to the bottom, well, not almost all the way to the bottom, we have this fan chart here. Well, when you click on that, it populates a fan chart. Now it defaults to 5 generations. I have increased this to 7 generations. All you have to do is click this little plus and minus button. And I colorized it. So let me take a quick look here at what my choices were here. So I colorized the grandparents, so you can see it kind of sliced the pie into 4 pieces. And then what I did was I went under this fan settings. You can jump down here and say colorize repeats. Ancestry doesn't do this. Family Search doesn't do this. Not that I'm aware of. It pointed out that I have the same ancestors in 2 different lines of my tree. These are my 4-time great-grandparents, right? This is common. This happens a lot. So my 4th great-grandparents, John Henley and Keziah Nixon, appear in 2 different lines in my tree. Well, if you think about that for a moment, that means that my great-grandparents, Nanny Winslow and Henry Henley, were second cousins when they married. So that's kind of cool. You can kind of figure that out just playing around with it. And so that is one of the cool things that I like about WikiTree. There's a lot to learn. If you want to get some support, let me jump back over here. To find support, you can click the help, and there's a whole list of help here. But the G to G is genealogist to genealogist forums, which is very helpful. Also, they have the mentors down here if you want to get some help there. So I did another episode on WikiTree and how to use WikiTree. I will put that on the screen here now, and then you can go click on that. That link will also be in the description box below. All right, number 4 on my list is Find My Past. And so Find My Past is really known for its UK and Irish records. They do have US and Canada and Australia and New Zealand records. As far as the UK and Irish records, I have a little more experience with those record sets than I do with the Australian and New Zealand records because, quite frankly, I don't have any ancestors in those areas. But I do know that the US records and the Canadian records are pretty much the same thing you're going to find everywhere because those guys all are, getting the same census records and Social Security Death Index records, the same kind of basic package of stuff that you're going to find on most every site, Family Search, Ancestry, all the rest of them. They're going to have those same US records, but they do have unique British records that you're not going to find anywhere else. They're known for the 1939 registry. So, Find My Past is one you want to take a look at. Some of the cool things they have is newspapers. Now, one of the things I like to do is I like to search all records. So if I'm going to be searching, I'm going to jump over here, but they do have newspapers. Here's the 1939 British registry. There's military records, the census records, land records, birth, marriage, death, church, education, immigration, and travel. They do have some free options, but this is a paid subscription service. So if you find a record that you want to further investigate, it might be behind the paywall. So here's what I do if I'm going to search similar to the way I typically search a card catalog is I'll go to this all record sets. Again, that's search and then hit all records. And then I will peruse basically by location. So if, let's say, I'm searching in England, I can narrow down the city, I can narrow down the time frame, and then I can see how many records. Let's just give it a time frame. 1800, whole century there. So they've got 579 record sets, and I really didn't give it a specific area. Now we're down to 232 record sets. So there's quite a bit. Now you can also sort by the number of records from the top down, which is always smart because you've got a bigger set of records here and then as you go down. So, I mean, there's a lot to play with. They do have DNA. DNA is actually provided by Living DNA. On the DNA side, you can upload your DNA kit if you want to download it from another source and then upload it as a zip file. You can do that here. If you need help with Find My Past, you can click the help menu, but I've already kind of in the handout given you the direct phone number and the email address. If you want to contact them directly, you can find them there, but they do have the Get Started and FAQ, a help hub, and so that's it for Find My Past. Number 3 on my list is Family Search, and I really grappled with this because it was number 2 before in my mindset. And so I've kind of taken it back a little bit to number 3. And the reason why is because I haven't seen any new innovations there. Not very many. They are adding records still, which is a big plus. Many of you have heard me talk about Family Search before. I love Family Search. And so some of the things that I really like about it is the fan chart, the Family Search wiki. You know that if you've watched any of my episodes before, that the Family Search wiki, anytime I have a question about where do I find any kind of record in any part of the world, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the wiki and I'm going to start searching by location first. And I'm going to, drill in and start looking at what's available in that area. So the wiki is a huge one as far as services and what's available. This is very interactive. The fact that you can, drill into the county level from here is just wildly helpful. This little box is incredibly helpful to give you a quick glance at birth, marriage, death records and what's available, court records. There's a lot of stuff here at a glance. And then I typically use this as kind of my research plan. What do I have and what don't I have? And you can kind of drill in and find those records in various sources. Now, the family tree is wildly helpful. I use the family tree in dark mode. You can come over here and invert the colors, and I like it in dark mode just because it's easy on the eyes. One of the features that I like on Family Search in the fan tree here is to be able to turn on research helps. It shows you data problems. It might be somebody was there. In this case, you have a child born of a mother. It might be that the mother's birth or death date ends before the child's born, so there would be a problem there. Maybe this person was married twice and somehow something got misattributed. And so that is a quick glance to find problems. It also shows you record hints and such. So the fan chart is huge. The search function is huge. The records that Family Search has in a lot of cases have been uploaded by members that are searching here as well. I have found birth, marriage, and death records here on Family Search that I've not found anywhere else. So Family Search is very strong in my mind. And so I still have it in the top 3, and I'm debating back and forth whether it should be number 2 or number 3, but I'm going to show you who number 2 is next. Okay, number 2 is MyHeritage, and the reason why I bumped up MyHeritage to the number 2 position is because of the innovation they've got going on over there. Plus, they keep buying other companies, so they keep acquiring more research companies. So they are not to be ignored. MyHeritage has got a lot going on. Now, as far as United States records go, they have a lot of the same records that all the other guys have. The census records, the Social Security Death Index, and, that basic package of U.S. records. But some of the things that they do have that are unique. Let's talk briefly about their photo enhancement tools. Now, they've got this ability to colorize photos quickly. I mean, it's like a click of the button. Once you upload the photograph, it's almost instantaneous, and it's really not bad. It's amazing what they have been able to do. They have the enhance photo where you can help reduce some scratches and add some clarity to an image. Again, not bad for a, zero need to know how to do this other than to upload a photo, which isn't hard. There's the button right there. Upload a photograph and click an enhance button, and that's the results you get. What's also amazing to me is the ability to animate a still image. Oh my gosh. In some cases, it's a little creepy. It just depends. They keep adding more and more filters to this. So there's different movements, but there's subtle movements. As you can see, she's just kind of looking around and looking up and that kind of stuff. But it's not like, you know, they're going to go dancing. It's just a simple little animation. It's just incredibly cool. Now, on the DNA side, they have tools that nobody else has as far as an all-in-one package kind of website. So one of the things that I really like at MyHeritage DNA is in this DNA tools section, they have the chromosome browser and auto clustering. Now, if you're not familiar with what those are, let's start with auto clustering. So what auto clustering does is it's the same thing as when you are grouping your DNA matches at Ancestry, except for it does it visually with the auto cluster tool. Now, when you use this tool, it takes a little bit time for it to generate once you've already uploaded your DNA there. And again, you can download your DNA from somewhere else and upload it to MyHeritage and then run it through this tool. And when you open up the tool, it will create this animated auto clustering. And what you can't see in this animation is that these people across the top and the people down the side are your DNA cousins, and they are the same. So the number one position is going to be the same across the top as the number one position in going down. So that's why you have this line going this way, is because it's the same person. If you come over to number 10 and come across to number 10, it's the same person. But what it's doing is it's comparing all of your DNA cousins with other DNA cousins, and then it's grouping them all together in these nice little clusters. So that is the same thing. Auto clustering is the same thing as DNA grouping. Now, the other thing that they have that I find really quite helpful in the tools section is the chromosome browsers. And so when you do chromosome browsing, I'm going to load up an example here, and then I'm going to hide all of the names. You can add a bunch of your DNA cousins, and then you can compare them. And once you do that, you can see these three people have DNA in common with me across the different chromosomes. And as you can see right here, we triangulate on this area, which basically means all of us, all four of us, that's me and these three people, all of us have the same DNA at that exact section of chromosome 1. Here is another section where we triangulate, all of us triangulate together at these positions. And that's 12 centimorgans, almost 13 centimorgans worth of DNA that is exact. So what does that mean? That means that you can take those DNA segments, and actually, if you do this enough with enough cousins, you can start to rebuild some of the lines of your family. So if I know that these chromosomes I have in common with a certain line in the family, then I know that that position on chromosome 18 came from my Henle line, because all of those DNA cousins are on the Henle line. And I could even probably narrow it down even further by my great-great-grandparents. After a while, you don't have enough DNA to get way back there, but you can start kind of slicing up the DNA and discovering what part of DNA you inherited from what line in the family. So MyHeritage has got some really incredibly cool tools. The tree does look a little different. It just, everything you have to get a little bit used to. They also have some more DNA tools. But between some of the new innovations that they've come up with, I have to give kudos to MyHeritage. They really have come a long way with their product. Okay, number one, still on my top favorite place to research is Ancestry, without a doubt. They have more records. What is it? I think they have 30 billion records. 30 billion. 30 billion records. That's amazing. Their DNA tools are fabulous. They do get a little bit of grief from the public for not having a chromosome browser. You know, it would be great if they did. Don't hold your breath. From what I understand from Ancestry, they have no intention of putting a chromosome browser out there anytime soon. Through lines was a big innovation for them. And people, through lines is a hint feature. It is not your family tree. So please, before you send me hate mail and comments about through lines, it makes mistakes just like if you did a search for a record, you're going to get a list of records that may or may not be your ancestor. Through lines is the same way. It's built on the back of member trees. So if member trees are incorrect, through lines might be incorrect as well. And then one of my favorite sections, I talk about this a lot, is to use the card catalog. This is my first way of researching any ancestor. I don't hit the search button from their profile. I might do it later. I do clear out the hints first and, get that low-hanging fruit. But really, that is just a small portion of what they have to offer. So I drill into the card catalog. I search by location and then add a date field down at the bottom so that down here I'll add whatever era it is that I am researching. But for U.S. researchers, Ancestry to me is still number one. It is easiest to use. It has hints everywhere on the platform. In the handout, I have given you all of the support for all of these companies, all 5 of them. I have given you phone numbers on how to call them directly if you want to, and or email them as needed. So if you're in a search function like this and you start to type a name and you start getting this autofill function, then it perhaps a lot of times you might just pick that person and drop them in to the fields and let it auto-populate everything, right? If you hit search, you're going to get a certain number of results. But if you're not finding what you want, try Xing out some of this extra information, all of these kids, all of this other stuff. We don't need that to do a search. What you really need is a place and a date and a name that kind of correspond with an event, like a birth or a marriage or a death event. So if you have it doesn't even have to be exact. You can have an approximate date or a date range, an approximate place, even if it's just the state, but really it would help if you have the county, so that you can focus in on that. And it might be that you get better results. Now, sometimes when you auto-populate like this, you're going to get a smaller amount of records. The idea there being that you might get a more focused, exactly what you're looking for. But if you're not finding what you're looking for, it's not showing up. Start deleting stuff out of your search. Go back and refine your search and start Xing out some of this extra information that you don't need, because you might end up getting more results, to help you populate a better result field. And also know that when you get your results, this section at the top is smart filtering. Now, right now I have it turned off, and I have it turned off for a reason. Because if you have it turned on, it's not bad to use it, but if you are not finding what you want, turn it off. Because what the smart filtering does is it says, okay, here in the 1880 census, you've already got that in your record. So if smart filtering is turned on, it's not going to deliver any more 1880 census. It's done with that record set. And so it's not going to show you anymore. But in my case, this ancestor was in the 1880 census twice. He was recorded on both sides of the street because he was living across the street from his father. Well, his father, I guess because they were over there so much, his father or whoever was giving the information to the census taker put the whole family in there. And then when the census taker walked across the street, maybe a couple hours later, and got to that house, he recorded everybody that was in that house. So he was in there twice. He got counted twice. So had I had smart filtering turned on, I might not have seen that. This is a good example too for things like Quaker records or church records where people are in the same record set multiple times. And so you don't want to miss those extra times because it helps tell the story of your ancestors. So Ancestry is still my number one pick. I love it. It has more records. It has more DNA kits than anybody else. I still think, even though they don't have a chromosome browser and they don't have auto clustering, the fact that we can use the shared matches tool and we can create groups and we can add our different ancestors to the different family groups is wildly popular and is very easy to use once you understand how it works. And then you can help narrow your focus on the trees within those ancestors in the shared matches tools. To wrap all this up, Ancestry still gets my vote for the number one best online website out there. They have more records, more DNA tools, a platform that's relatively easy to use, search engines that are unlike anybody else. So I think right now, for me, Ancestry is still the top dog in town. However, they should be looking over their shoulder because MyHeritage is really coming along quickly. They're building up their DNA. They're building up their record sets. The innovation that they've got over there is unlike anyone else. So there you have it. A whole top 5 for 2021 of my top picks for online research. And boy, between all of them, you can do a lot of research. I know you can't afford to be on all of them. You can do free research on a lot of them. And sometimes you build up a list of things that you need to research and join them for a month and then shut it off. You know, if it's like Find My Past or something, you know, you build up all those Irish records you need to look up or those UK records and then, you know, just turn it off after if you can't really keep up with it. So that's my tips for today. Don't forget there is a handout. If you are interested, you can get that by joining the channel membership, or don't do both. You'll be wasting your money. Or you can go and get them at genealogytv.org. Now, the advantage of being a channel member is you can pick up all the handouts you want just by scrolling through the blog posts on the community tab, and you get early release, and you just have to go to the community tab to find them. Alternatively, if you join us on Patreon, you could do that too. You have to be at the $15 level there. I think it's called the Happy Dance level or higher. And those get emailed to you directly. So every time they come out. So I'll leave links for all of that in the description below. And well, I really appreciate your time today, and have fun researching your family history.